Welcome to the Ferracuti Files. I am Alexis Ferracuti Stearns, and I am here. That's so weird to say that. I love that. It's been 2 years. You'd think I'd be over it. I'm not. Anyway, I am here with Haylei, Marissa, and Haylei, and we're going to talk a little bit about all the things that you guys are doing. So tell me a little bit about your program, how it came to be, and how it started.
Well, thank you for having us, for
You're
sure.
welcome. Excited.
We are part of the Illinois, we're part of the Feeding Illinois Capacity Building Grant recipients, and it has been very exciting for us. I am the director of Ohms High Meadows Sanctuary. We go by Ohms, and we are a community partner, connecting farmers and food and aggregating food of very small farms. And we're excited that this program is going to benefit the emergency food relief system.
And that goes to the food basket, which brings back my longtime friend and favorite complaining partner, Marissa.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how this benefits the basket.
In so many different ways. It brings more local fresh food into the food pantry space, and it's something that we have many years, this is about 20 years or so, that we have had a specific program bringing local garden produce into the food pantry during the growing season, summertime into fall. But we used to have some more people locally that would grow specifically for us, specifically Marv Gronke. Who has passed on, unfortunately. He is so missed in the community in so many ways. But he used to grow and donate upwards of 5,000 to 10,000 pounds of food of produce in the year, depending on the year.
Yeah, it's a crazy
and
amount.
things like that. So that is something that we've been missing the last few years, and so we're really hoping that this program can help fill that gap.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you applied for the grant and why you thought to incorporate the food basket.
Yes. Well, the biggest reason that we applied for the grant is because it's available.
Yeah.
So as small farms, and my husband and I first were growers for a really strong network of over 120 farms working in Livingston County down in Fairbury.
Yeah.
Called Down at the Farms. And our education there is what prompted us to know about it. But the biggest deal is that this money has not previously been available for small farms. Mm-hmm. And so our farm, Grateful Plains, hit a really huge hurdle when the government rescinded a lot of funds in 2025.
Correct.
And we were invited to pivot. Yeah. And that is when this charity became about supporting the education of how people can navigate the small farm industry and get more food in our community and make a living growing food.
Yeah.
And so Ohms went full force last February 2025 when it was kind of in the background, and we thought, hey, we'll do a soup kitchen. We're not sure what we're going to do with this church space. And the challenge, as many do, just made a great opportunity for us to really focus in on what it means to have all of these spokes within our reach, but we're in this little black hole in LaSalle County,
right,
where there's just not a lot going on, and we've been kind of in the weeds, literally, and by coming up for air and being well educated by our mentors, we were able to put together an application, and it was very fast and furious, as Marissa has mentioned, that because obviously the food basket is a little more familiar with how the grant world works, and we are brand new to it. So I feel honored and privileged to be working with each of you and knowing how hard you've worked over the last 10 years for the food bank. And this wasn't on our radar. Yeah. As farmers, but it is a perfect fit for launching our vitamin program, which is the vocational intensive training for advancing ag.
Love that.
And it is a ministry that we do in order to invite people who are curious about a farming vocation, especially if they've experienced recent trauma.
Yeah.
And so we call it post-trauma intervention. And it took me about 2 years of vetting and having conversations and understanding the dynamics of what's happening in our community to find a few farmers who were willing to pilot the program. And we have that. We started out with 5 farms. 2 or 3 of them have already established new farms in 2026.
Neat.
And when this project was announced, it was when Feeding Illinois announced that this grant would be available, we knew it was a perfect way for us to tie in our trial systems of logistics and just see how much food we can grow.
Yeah. And that benefits the food basket hugely. Marissa and I have talked about this a bunch of times. I mean, including on our full podcast, which is probably one of our longer podcasts. But we talked about that a lot on our podcast about how the community providing for the community with food alleviates not only, food issues for us and trying to get food, but also, the money we're spending in an economy where we were also cut on grants. I'm saying we get, I'm like, I can't get on my head that I'm no longer on your board. But anyway, I'm still a we. It's fine. I'm a we forever now.
Correct.
So, correct. I'm actually never really gone. But we talked a lot about how the money that we got, we had grants that got cut too, and programs that got cut for us too, funding that got cut for us too. So being able to provide food in the same way was not an option. It's the same way we'd been doing it previously. So, and Marissa works really hard to make sure we do with what she's got, right?
Yeah.
It's just
we're very, very used to working within constrictions of various types. Time, money, space, all different things, we make it work.
Yeah.
But as we talked about, when we in our full podcast, and just listen to that
10,000 other times.
But there are a lot of times where we're like, well, we're not sure how this is going to work, but we will be distributing food at some point somehow, whether it's on a street corner, in a closet, out of a storage unit. I don't know. We'll be distributing food somehow.
As I've said 1,000 times, Marissa and I, before we had a building, Marissa and I were like, listen, we could probably set up outside of my office and we could just hand boxes out the door as people went over the bridge.
Like, we can find a parking lot.
We had 1,000 conversations when we were looking for a building. That were
like,
very
you know what? The city will give us a Jordan block.
Like, we'll figure it out. Like, we're going to figure it out. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And when the timing is right, it opens up.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't need to. I mean, we found the building and it was...
And we're on our way.
It was a journey. It was a journey. It was a journey, but a worthwhile journey, but a journey nonetheless. So I'm forever am grateful to have been a part of that. But again, I think that, even in volunteering, they're like seeing, that was probably my favorite part of like when I first started. When I got on the board, I hadn't volunteered at the basket yet, right? So like when you get on the board, they're like, if you haven't volunteered, you need to go volunteer. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I should know how this works. It's true. I donated. I just had never like physically gone in. I mean, and at that point I had just gotten custody of my kid and my now kid, and it was she came to board meetings. That poor kid has sat through more board meetings than any other 11-year-old on the planet. So she sat through so many board meetings. But she and I started volunteering at the basket, and that was like her favorite thing was there's a section of the basket at that time in the old building.
Yes.
That was the growers. Like, this is local. Like, there's a sign where someone make a sign. This is local food grown by local farmers who like did this specifically for you, who donated these things. It was always full of tomatoes and carrots and all, whatever. And she was like, that's so neat that people do that. And then we moved to the farm and she was like, I want to plant a garden. And then the first year she did nothing on it. So I was like, we are planting. If we're planting a garden, we are planting a garden. That means you have to help. But like the implications, I think the meaning of a community that shows up for one another, which is something we talk about all the time. The way this community shows up for one another during tornado relief, during all of it, is incredible, right? Like, that's just another example. And I think a really like visual, sometimes we forget, like we don't see what neighbors are doing for neighbors. We don't, and a lot of people here don't give credit, like don't take credit for things they're doing.
That's right. Especially Marvin Gale.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, they were literally just down behind the football field putting seeds in.
Yeah.
I was a beginning master gardener when I first met them many years ago. And I remember going down to a floodplain, by the way. They said, hey, we can't do anything else here. We can do it. We can garden here. And
they did.
10,000 pounds. And 1 year, similar to what you described, I thought, man, I don't know who's going to buy my food, but somebody's going to buy it. And that's what I did. Put it in the back end of an old 68 Chevy and went to the Kroger parking lot and flipped down the tailgate. And that's how I started selling food.
Yeah.
And giving really, a lot away.
And see, but like, and that's the whole point is, you know, like I said, our community is pretty close. Like people don't say what they've done here. Like my dad is a great example of that. He did hundreds of thousands of things for people here over the years that he never took credit for. Like nobody knows this. We have the appellate court still because of my dad. He argued really hard for us to keep that. He argued really hard for us to keep the work comp venue in Ottawa. Like he's the sole reason that exists here still. Like he never took credit for those things. I give him credit for them all the time because it makes me mad because he was wonderful and people don't give him enough credit. It makes me angry, but that's fine. So I, as a daughter, I'm like going to continuously shout his name, but like there's a lot of people here just like that, like that are not taking credit for things, that are not, that are feeding the community very silently, who are making sure that people have access. There are people at the basket that show up and, hey, I have 4 neighbors who can't get here and I'm going to come take boxes. Like, sure.
I'm really lucky that I get to see that in action every day. And so sometimes when I talk to people who aren't just in general, people I know in the community, and, you know, people love to bag on the air and like, you know, and on different things and whatever. And I'm like, you know, it's not what you think. Like, I'm in a position to see a lot of like kindness and generosity and thought put into and just all of those things, and I knew it existed in general. I have known for a long time, but when you see it in action, it's like, no, it's here, and it's still here. It's always here. Correct. And people do care. And we're very lucky as an organization that, I mean, yes, we do seek grant funding and we do get participate in federal programs and things like that. But the majority of our funding comes from small personal donations from our community. The pooling of money, like power in numbers. The 100%. Average donation is $25 to $50. And all of those come together to make a huge really impact. And again, I get to see it every day, and it's really cool.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit. We have another guest who hasn't gotten to speak yet, Haylei. And Haylei and I determined that we've known each other for longer than I realized right before this started. Haylei, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you're involved with all this.
I am Haylei Vanda. I am tenant farming on Grateful Plains property this year, as well as doing the vitamin program. I am just enjoying being able to grow and having the space to bring my kiddos along with. I homeschool, so they're growing their own crops this year, which is so fun, so exciting for them. And yeah, I'm just enjoying being along for the ride and being there for what I need to help out with.
We're having very different experiences in terms of kids wanting to grow things. Your kids are like, please let me go grow things. My child is like, you should grow a garden. Let me eat the things out of it.
Yeah. Well, once it's 95 degrees out, they're going to very much, and we're getting up at 5 a.m., they're going to very much change their minds a good little bit. But they're
my child's up at 5 a.m. My child's up at 5 a.m. every day, so she does not have that. Oh, yeah. We had cheer. I coach her cheer team, so we have cheer practice at 6 a.m. 5 mornings a week during season. So we are up at 5 doing chores and letting animals out and feeding everybody and do what we have to do for the day.
Today is our harvest day, and so I was up at 3 o'clock to be able to get everything done in order to be here and still be on the road on time. And it's one of the first days that we've had to get up that early because it's a little cool and we're still in spring season. But it really feels amazing to be making that connection but it takes early in the morning and quiet. But it is a huge challenge. And you had said, how did you apply for the grant? One of the first things when we heard about this grant was calling these potential candidates and saying, are you committed? Will you do this? Yeah. And Faith Flowing Acres is the name that Haylei chose for her farm. And then Bees, Buds, and Blooms by Alyssa Bowes are the two key people who said, yeah, we're in it. And making the commitment as exploring a farming vocation. So I think that's a really important part of this grant and the local food direction, is that people really don't understand what it takes to farm, to wake up early, to get going. Haylei has been out at the farm 4 days a week. It's a huge commitment when you're transitioning and seeing if it's going to work. And what a joy to be able to invite these two beautiful beings to explore it, but also how many more people are out there that are saying, wow, if I could make a go at this, maybe they want to do it for mental wellness reasons. Right. Or one thing that I was facing was physical. I was experiencing the onset of young onset Parkinson's disease when I was first learning to garden, and just wanted to get by and thrive. And so there's a lot of reasons why people get involved. And I'm just really grateful that you said yes, Haylei.
I'm thankful you asked.
I am also grateful that Alyssa's doing it because I benefit from that on the side. So I am grateful. Yeah, that's literally my favorite thing in the entire world. So Alyssa will pick tomatoes and be like, here, these are yours. Thank you so much. Or I just show up at her house and I'm eating them in the backyard. The one day I was
we could do that.
The one day I called her, I was like, listen, you're not home yet, but I am at your home. And I'm in the backyard.
But I'm here.
I was like, so sorry about your cherry tomato plants. See you when I get here. Bye. Because I am not great with plants. I murder all plants. I can keep animals alive, just plants are not. Which is great because I don't want to keep animals alive. I love animals are my favorite thing in the world, man. Like I love my livestock life that I live. Like being in the barn, cleaning out the barn is so therapeutic. It really is a mental health and wellness thing for me. Like being out there with him. And we have like an emotional support sheep. He's just the best. He's so like, he's a dog. He just follows you around. Aww. He wants to be like right here.
Yes.
He just headbutts you while you do stuff and like asks for scritches. Like he's very sweet. So.
And you were talking earlier about some of that underlying nature, the connection that you have. And you're like, ooh, they know something I don't know.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that there are probably many more individuals. We were just talking about Marvin Gaye, just two of the people, but those are the old timers. And there is a gap that's happening where people are not getting outside. They aren't doing what they love in a lot of cases because we're driven by fast and furious and things moving so quickly. And so sometimes just one day on the farm can make a difference. And I think that's probably a lot of what Haylei went through because she's been toying with this idea for a few seasons. And Alyssa and I met many seasons ago when she was eating from the CSA that I hardly knew what I was doing.
Correct.
We were saying, Marissa, we
I remember the
boxes.
I also benefited from that.
There you go.
I would go to her house and steal things out of the box. I was like, sorry.
Anything you don't want to eat, we'll take. And that's part of it. We're just making it up as we go. And Haylei it's been such a blessing to have your girls on the farm too. And that's an important part of what Ohms is about. How do we create an environment and a mentorship program with hopefully mentee graduates who also want to be mentors, because we believe there are a lot of people who will come out of the woodwork when they understand this program is available.
I think there's lots of people who are looking for that connection. Our generation was driven to college, away from the land, away from the trades, away from things that we grew up in. And listen, I'm I am the toughest feminist on the block, man, but our generation was told for some time that feminism meant not doing those things. And
I think that's very true.
And that's
not true.
Not true. Feminism means doing whatever the hell you want. because you have a certain part doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to do all the things. I mean, I tried baking bread. Turns out I don't have the ability. I tried baking bread. That was
hey, but you tried.
Listen, I made one good sourdough loaf, and I was like, I think we're done with this journey.
Hey, you did
Baking
it.
is not my forte either.
I got one good loaf out. My husband was like, it is not quite as good as our best friend. But our best friend can make some good. She is the epitome. Actually, she's like, and not that Alyssa's been a huge part of my journey into like doing farm things, but also I think if 10 years ago you had asked her if I would ever have a farm and be like happily, actively shoveling poop, I don't know that she would have ever predicted that. I could have totally seen you in a garden. That's 100% who you are, that you've always been that way. We sat on nature bridges my whole life and talked. That was like, that totally tracks for me. But like I always wanted animals. I've always loved animals, but I've never had, my mother does not. So I did not have the ability. My dad, fun story, my dad tried fencing in our pasture 1 year, and then he built a barn the next. And then my mom said, if you get a horse, you will sleep in that barn. And so Alexis never got a horse. But Peter tried really hard. He actually bought a saddle and hid it in our old house. When we were moving out after he died, I found it. There's been horse magazines everywhere in this office with notes and sticky notes and memos he wrote trying to convince my mom to buy me a horse. Poor man tried for years because he knew I wanted a pony. And I don't have a pony yet, but my husband did say, and I'm saying it on the podcast, so I'll do it for life. He did tell me that because he got the car he likes, there's no horse that's ever going to be more expensive than that. So,
Hey.
And I was like, Jesus heard my prayers.
Your time is coming.
Peter is working from heaven now. He's knocking on him while he sleeps. Hello.
I cannot
Very
wait
good.
to see that picture on Facebook of Alexis in her 30s going, I have a pony.
Listen, this is the best. So this is like, okay, small interim funny story. Jeremiah, so before I met Jeremiah, I posted on Facebook about a goat. That's a little black and white goat. And I was like, I am manifesting this into my future. It will exist. And I met Jeremiah. He's like, we're never having farm animals. And I was like, okay. And then he told me, you're never having cats. So I got office cats because I can't tell me what to do here. So I got office cats. And then he said, we're never getting sheep. And then we got sheep. And he said, we're never getting farm animals. Then we get donkeys. Then he said, we're never getting sheep. And then we got sheep. And then he said, we're never getting goats. And then on Halloween for my birthday, we went and picked up Hank the goat. And then we got 2 more the next year. And then we got another sheep the next year. And he said, we're not buying chickens. And then he came home with 25 chickens from Farm and Fleet. And now I have 40. And then he told me we're not getting cats. And there's a picture of me from like 3 Halloweens ago for my birthday holding 2 black kittens that he got me that were supposed to be barn cats, but they live in my house. They have a room. Never went outside. They're too sweet. They're not meant to be barn cats. You know what I mean? There's a temperament there. These 2 are very much cat tree and fancy feast cats, not barn cats. Anyway, so that is not the life they were meant to live. So it turns out people can tell you forever that you're not going to get those things, and you just keep manifesting. You can make those dreams come true. You'll end up on a farm with all the animals you've ever wanted. The horse is manifesting it since I was 7. I was like, it's going to be a draft horse. I have a lot of thoughts. So anyway, so that's my point is, I think there's a lot of people, like nobody would have ever pictured me doing it, but I think there's a lot of people that if they got out, like I find that's the most peaceful part of my life is being out and being in the barn and sitting with the animals in the field after a stressful day. Like normally it's in a lawn chair, sometimes it's on the ground, like, just sitting with them, petting them, brushing them, spending time with them, trying to decompress. Like that's where I feel the most connected, I think, was when I'm out there, And I think that a lot of people, if they spent time in that environment, like people are always asking to come pet our animals, which I'm always leery of. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll be fine. They're pretty good with kids. They really like kids. So I think that if more people got into that environment and could grow, or like our other best friend, she has a fully functioning, her whole yard is a fully functioning garden. Our like other mutual best friend, her entire yard is a fully functioning garden. Like she doesn't have grass space. She turned it all into a garden. The entire space, whether it's wildflowers, whether it's whatever, she's got a fully functioning living, breathing, every piece of space is a
And I
food
think it's time
forest.
for more of that to happen. 10 years ago, you could not have told me that we would buy an old church that I thought I was going to live in, by the way. I just thought that was so fascinating.
Yeah.
And it turns out now that it is just a beautiful setting to be an aggregator and bridge the gap for these other counties that are already doing well.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal. Not only is the nature therapy
Yeah.
really important,
Yeah.
which, by the way, it happens even just in one stay. Somebody who visits our farm for 10 minutes could have a profound experience that is the reason they come back, or that they go somewhere else and do something different with their life. And Haylei and Alyssa and I talk a lot about that. How do we create an environment and allow that what we do on that farm to be enough that all of that energy goes into the food we bring to the pantry.
Yeah.
And in this case, the food is seconds or surplus food for some of the bigger places. There were about 20 people who received the grant. But for us, it is such brand new territory.
Yeah.
There's nobody else around.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's extras that's going. For us, a lot of it is the main food that's going to the pantry because we don't have the dynamic of volume yet.
Correct.
And so for us to drive an hour and a half to where the hub is, the established hub, wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing a micro food hub. And the biggest difference that sets apart is, before I wrote the grant, I didn't know what a micro food hub was, but it is, right?
It's not standard knowledge. I didn't understand it until I got on the board either. You know, like the micro pantries, I didn't really understand how those came to be
Yes.
or how they were getting filled, and then I started filling them. I was like, oh, it's just random people taking food and taking them and distributing them. People on our board or people who just want to help.
And just like the donations, that matters. The $25 and the $50 is what we're talking about. How can Ohms be here for the farms in the USDA? Very small farms is anything under $10,000 generating. So you have a small farm there. And a lot of people are doing hobby farming or gardening, and that is what we want to do, is be the catalyst for them considering, do they want to supply to the local food system, change the dynamic for LaSalle County, because it's nearly non-existent here, which is primarily because of education. It really isn't that people don't want to buy food, it's because they don't know where to get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or they don't know where to take it if they do grow it, or they don't know how much they should charge for it, because how much do you charge for tomato that you started in December thinking about what you were going to buy, spending hours and hours looking at a catalog, sitting in the greenhouse January and February, correcting the pests in March and April, hoping in May that it was going to be warm enough to put it out before it froze off. And then you get to the farmer's market with a 2-pound tomato and somebody wants to give you 50 cents.
Right, correct.
And so that was sort of how Tim and I began our journey, is, I'm not selling my tomato for 50 cents. I would rather take my whole table home and make a $15 jar of pasta sauce.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so it's the food pantry fills that gap for beginning farmers and people scaling up. And it's unprecedented that this is available. I just really want to thank Feeding Illinois and people like you two who have created pantries that need us.
So I want to say one thing too. You said this earlier, that you went to Fairbury to learn about this. You don't know this about me. We've known each other for a long time, but you don't know this about me. My entire family is from Fairbury. My grandmother, my aunt, and my grandfather started working after he got back from World War II. He was a sergeant under General Patton. When he got back, his first job was the first job was in, what's right next to me? Not Troy, maybe Troy Grove. He was in charge of the elevator in Troy Grove, but he's from Fairbury. Went to Fairbury High School, graduated Fairbury High School. My aunt on that side, my grandma on same. They were all from Fairbury. So, and my cousins still live there. My aunts and uncles still live there. My whole family is there.
Wow.
That's where my goats came from.
Wow.
Yes, Tigger the sheep came from there. Trigger, if you ask my husband, but that's not his name. So I grew up. Nobody knows that I have a farm background. And I truly believe that there's something to our genetics. My family was raised on the land on my mom's side. My dad's family in Italy all were farmers there as well. And so when we got into our new house and we bought our house with 6 acres, I walked on the land, I stood on the land and went, oh, like this is where I was meant to be.
Wow. And you just know.
You do, you know. I felt the first time Alyssa came to my house, she got out of her car and she said, this is the most peaceful land I've ever stood on. And I was like, there really is something about like our property that is like ingrained, but there's something to the genetics of that because my mother does not carry that genetic. It didn't get to her. she laughs.
She's a carrier.
My mom's like a air conditioning in hotels kind of girl, you know? Yeah. My mother would never be caught dead in a barn, but, like maybe to smile at me while I was doing it, but that's about it. And, but like, I am not that. Like, I love being out there and doing that. And I think there is something to that, but my tie to Fairbury is that my whole family farms there still. Our family farm on the Dawson side is still there. And on the Week side, it's still a functioning farm there. So we actually, the Carter side of Carter Weeks, it's both.
Well, they're ahead of the game down there for local food.
They're ahead of the game on a lot of ag.
And there are farms there, 40s and 80s, as we call in conventional acreages, that are converting to non-GMO food to supply the flour and the grain because these bakers now want it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a whole period of time, they were all non-GMO until, 15, 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And
That's a different podcast.
And then it is, but the big farm came in and bought and convinced everybody they needed to go with their seed. We had a lot of sellout conversations in my family, about, you don't sell out to Satan. That's Satan, right? The big seed companies were Satan. That was the conversation we all had. And then everybody did that. Our family raises cattle on one farm and they've got corn on the other. And the corn that they grow is still the same corn that they've grown my whole life and my grandfather's life before that, my aunt's life before that, and my Uncle Stan's life before that. It's the same, kind of seed, the same seed they were growing. They have their own sweet corn seed that they've grown.
And it so matters.
It matters. It's made.
The seed saving component is part of what makes it so exciting for people to
First of all, with love, there's no better sweet corn. Like, somebody can fight me. That's the best sweet corn in the world. I don't even like frozen corn. I will go take that corn out of the freezer and eat it straight out of it. Give me that sweet corn. Every time I go down, I walk down into my cousin's basement. I'm like, hello, don't mind me. Just going to take 5 to 12 bags. Go home. See you later.
We want to inspire a lot more stories like that. But this is just one of the stepping stones to introduce people to that.
And I asked her to have seed. I asked her to have some of the seed so that I could grow and do that on our
Put
land.
it in the
so
ground.
That I could
Maybe
bring
that's
it here
all that's going to be in your garden this year.
It might be.
It is a simple crop.
We'll see if I can keep it alive with the pests and everything else. But I am surrounded by farm fields, so I'm sure that'll help. I'm surrounded by fields where my house, so people are spraying and they got.
Yes, it's a lot of. It's largely why we are shifting to the education piece.
Yeah.
Because we have a very small 5 acres flanked by conventional. Production.
Yeah.
And so our big deal now is getting high tunnels, so at least some of our crops are under plastic.
Yeah.
And that helps. It helps protect the crop, but also doing regenerative farming, which is what we teach, can happen in 3 or 5 years. Even with that competition, you just got to time your planting and your crops at a different way. And people who eat this food, and this is an important part for the food bank too, when we get the higher quality food into the food bank, people are hungry less often.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a different type of nutrition.
Yeah. Well, real nutrition. That's something
More
we talk about
dense.
a lot.
Yeah, of course.
We talk about that a lot. We can get things at the food basket. We can buy a pallet of macaroni and cheese for so cheap.
Very cheap.
So cheap, but and it's food that we need, right? Yep. There are kids that just don't. I was a kid who functioned on mac and cheese, so I'm not going to judge it. But you need more quality nutrition. And so Marissa, which is different than a lot of I'm giving her all the credit for that, because what's different than a lot of other food pantries that I've gone into or worked in or served in, because I was in Massachusetts serving in one before I moved here, is it's more, she makes sure to go out of her way to make sure there is a balance between here is the processed. Here are the things that I know you're going to want.
Very familiar.
Yes.
Functional foods
that are easy to keep.
Easy to keep. minimal prep, all of those things.
And they're important.
And they're important,
cheap and we can get more of them.
Those are never going to go away in the food in the hunger relief community, because they are storable, they are packable, they are
forever.
Easy. They are things people are familiar with. People that appeal to have mass appeal.
Yes.
And those things aren't necessarily bad, but it's having the options and empowering people to make choices and to have the ability, know how to use the fresh produce and to how to utilize it and how that can best feed their family, and also to preserve the life of those things to make them last longer, freezing, canning, all of those things. Really options. We the whole ethos behind our client choice service model is options. Yeah. And with those options, of course, we want to push people toward making those better, quote unquote, choices, whether that for leaner proteins, and also higher quality produce and plants and like all of those things. And so with that comes the education portion. We have found over the years so many times that our clients are really willing to try new things if you give them an idea of how to use it. Because a lot of our clients are short on time. And
they're working multiple jobs to survive in this economy.
Yeah. And so, it might be easy enough to just Google it and you can find different things come out. But if we can cut out that step, even those 5 minutes, and provide that recipe, an idea, a thought, people are like, oh, okay, and this will work well with what I already have. Like there's different ways to do it, and we really want people to, again, empower people to make those decisions.
And the mental health aspect of having access to that recipe already before, without having to Google it. Like, we talk about mental load a lot. The mom's carrying the mental load, or the dad, if it's a single dad, or, a working family, the parents,
the children themselves,
or the kids themselves, a lot of the kids themselves are carrying the mental load. So having access to easy, accessible recipes, rather than having to think about, what am I going to make? How am I going to get it? What am I going to have to do? Do I have to stop at the store? Do I have to go to the food basket and pick something else up? Like, what am I going to do here? Having access to those things when they're there, so you can just grab it all, go home, say, this is what we're making for this day, have a plan, and then have to think about it. That reduces so much mental stress and enables people to function better, and hopefully they'll be able to do more better things, feed themselves better, make better choices.
Yes, and not have the stigma, right? The shame of going there. Haylei and I visited, with Alyssa, visited the food bank so that we could understand, or the food pantry, so that we could understand, because part of this grant is that we had to be sponsored. Yeah. And so similar to you, I thought, I've not really been in there since they've been in their new location.
It's beautiful.
And it's been years and years and years. And I was in Chicago when I was familiar with some of the SNAP programs and stuff. So when we visited, the first thing I thought of is, wow, we do a lot of really neat food, like dandelion greens and arugula and green garlic, things that people aren't familiar with. And I was so excited that you welcomed that. And yesterday, Haylei and I were picking dandelion greens, and we're, looking at each one and seeing if there's any spots or bugs or any of that. And we're having a great conversation. And Alyssa actually mentioned, somebody might get these and be so warm about remembering it from their childhood.
Yeah, or a grandparent recipe. My grandpa used to make dandelion salad.
Yes.
My grandma and grandpa used to make.
That was the first time I felt confident.
My grandma and grandpa used to make dandelion salad, and that's something I didn't even know until a couple of years ago. My cousin sent me my grandma's recipe for it, so I could make it, and I still haven't made it because I'm just not sure that I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm a little hesitant because I was a mac and cheese kid, okay, right. So I was a little hesitant about it, but the fact that it is a tie to my there is something to it being a tie to my family that I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. Like, I'm going to make her ravioli. We're going to make a dandelion salad, and that's going to be a thing we do one of these weekends. And it's be a weekend.
Yeah, and dandelion greens is one of the things that you guys have brought us already. That produce went very quickly.
Oh,
the dandelion green, and you brought dandelions, rhubarb, and the green onions. And let me tell you, that rhubarb went immediately. Those dandelion greens took a little bit longer, but and the onions were gone. Yeah. Like, it was immediate. it doesn't stick around a whole lot. People are hungry for that really quality fresh produce, especially during the summertime, when we have tomatoes everywhere and like more tomatoes than we can give away, and people ask, are these garden tomatoes? Or are these hothouse tomatoes?
They want to
know the difference.
They want to know. And sometimes you can just see it.
You can see
You can
it.
see the difference.
The color is different.
It
You
is.
can definitely taste it.
Yes.
1,000%.
But like we'll have people asking and be like, no, these are from gardens. This is from, and they're like, those will go first.
I had our first garden tomato this week. So down at the farms is across 7 Midwest states. So really ahead of the time. And so at 3:00 on Fridays, this time of year, I'm like, what's on the list? What's on the list? And they're like, send your order in right away. So I got my first flat of red tomatoes from a farm down south, and it is different.
Yeah.
The taste and knowing that the farmer grew it for us. And I feel like that's the big full circle here.
Yeah.
Is people who have backyard gardens or kids or Hayley's strong in foraging and doing some of the tinctures and homesteading recipes, which are excited to share some of those.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that.
Yes.
Anytime.
And so when I see this excitement, so remember for me now, 10 years ago, you would not have told me I'd be farming at all, or even maybe out of the city.
Yeah.
And here I am back on the home where I grew up, that my husband and I bought our farm, 5 acres, and to witness a person learn to drive a tractor that was taught,
So exciting.
It is the best. Wait, it is the best though, right? Like
It feels so good.
Yeah, there's something about it's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like you get on it and you're like, haha.
Uh-huh.
The first time I mowed the grass in our John Deere tractor. We have a 1040, I think, and I'm on the tractor, and I was singing Big Green. Alyssa hates this song so much because she moved to Texas for a period of time, and it played on the radio like way too much. So every time I want to annoy her, I send her me singing Big Green Tree.
Well, now you can one up her on the tractor because you were on the 2032R.
Oh wait, maybe we have a 1032. I don't think we have the 20. We have the 10. But that's what we
She learned to till and tilled her grass
You can till now?
into.
Listen, Jeremiah has to till for us still. I'm still
got
too
it.
afraid to do that. I can drive the thing. I'm not trying to.
So fun. You would like me to come jump on your tractor?
I'm trying. Listen, I had the time Jeremiah won't let me back. I backed it into our trailer, so I'm not allowed on it currently.
and yesterday, Hayley jumped in and switched the bucket to the forklift on the
Oh, that is
articulating
awful,
forklift,
though. The
so
first
that
time
we
you
could
do it, it's
unload the
terrifying.
coolers that are coming in for food storage.
Yeah, listen, changing that bucket to forklift to bucket is terrifying. The first time you do it, you're like, oh my God, is this all plugged in right? And then is it about to drop off this tractor?
And ours
kill
is
me?
completely manual.
Yeah, ours too. Ours is also completely manual. I was like,
It is.
It's okay when there's someone standing there spotting, but I don't
Yeah.
know about doing it myself.
no, it's I still go in the house and I'm like, excuse me, sir, please come outside and put the bucket on. Thank you. He's like, you need to learn how to do that. I was like, nope, that's why we got married.
not.
Thank you so much. Come outside.
Yeah, there are a few things during our program that we say, this is a good one to do when Tim's not watching you. Or I even have said, just do it when nobody is watching. Just drive around a few times, learn how to park, learn how to back up, like get confident. This is why you're in this training program.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that I can like drive it. The first I backed it. I'm not allowed to back it up anymore, but or at least while the trailer's around. I have to make sure I'm clear before I put it in reverse. That's the rule now. But the first time I drove it, I was like terrified. And now that I run it, I'm running it out of the barn, 3 times a week. So
Nice.
now that I'm driving it regularly, it's fine. I was like, don't park the trailer behind the barn. If you don't want it back, don't park it by the door. I got to back up to get out of the barn. Park it somewhere else, sir. So it's parked somewhere else. No, things are fine. Like, that's your own fault. You did this. You should have parked it there. No, I looked. I just didn't realize the ball in the back of the tractor is what got what got the trailer. I thought I saw space. I wasn't paying attention to how far out it.
Yes.
Right through the trailer. I was like, son, and it was all the way through it. I was like, and then I pulled the pulled it forward, and I was like, oh no. And then I went in the house and I was like, I don't know how it happened.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know what happened. There's a hole in the trailer. And he goes, it's the same size as the ball in the tractor. Do you think it was the tractor? I was like, I don't know. That's crazy.
So weird.
So weird. I don't know how that got there. Good luck. I also pulled the tractor in the barn once and hit his Ducati off the stand. He has a Ducati motorcycle, and I hit it off the stand and it fell over. And I didn't realize how heavy it was. And I tried to pick it up. And nope, couldn't pick it up. So I was like, I went in the house and I was like, the goat must have knocked it over.
Oh,
he was
well,
the
no
goat.
wonder why he doesn't like the goat.
He goes, the goat does not come out of the barn. Alexis, what'd you do? I was like, I don't know. And he goes, do you realize it rained? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, do you realize that when you backed out, there are still tire marks that are wet? And I was like, oh.
Like,
caught red-handed.
There's no evidence.
I was like, the goat was on the tractor. It wasn't me.
Somebody else did it.
Sorry, oopsies, oopsie poopsie. That's the phrase of our house for when you're learning things is oopsie poopsies.
Okay.
I made an oopsie poopsies. Can you please go? Can you go fix this? But that is a part of the process, is learning, navigating how to back the tractor up and make sure that you're using the bucket appropriately, because you can't tilt it so far, like, without, dumping the tractor a certain direction. Like, learning how to drive with the bucket appropriately leveled and all that it's a process. It took a minute, but now that I do it all the time, it's fine. But that first year, man, we wrecked a lot of stuff. I mean, by we, I mean me.
No, it's a we.
I feel like leaving me unsupervised was your own
About,
problem,
yeah,
right? Like, who you married. Let's be honest about what we're doing. Okay, so I want to talk just a little bit about how you get this grant. Like, what kinds of things do you have to do to get this grant? And I know what benefits, obviously, but what kind of things do you have to do to apply for it?
Yes, well, so there's a lot of grant talk around. So there's two distinct ones. USDA is doing an infrastructure grant, and they name it that. And so that is pretty clear of what's happening.
Yeah, right.
For this grant, which is partnered with the Feeding Illinois and DHS, Illinois Department of Human Services, is called the Capacity Building Grant, and for Farm to Food Bank. So it is also focused on the structure, the infrastructure, technology, logistics. Sure. So our project pitch was for piloting this program, leveraging our vitamin training. Since 3 days earlier, I got the enrollment that our participants would take it to this next level, because it's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
If you put it in paper and get your letters of recommendation from the people who say, yes, I want to farm, let's try this. And so this money for our project will be used to fortify the building. It's a site readiness for what was used to be the Presbyterian Church in Grand Ridge.
Yep.
It's a gorgeous space, very dilapidated. It was empty for 10 years. It has some major improvements to be done. And so that's something that we would not have been able to do without this grant.
Sure.
We also would not have been able to test the logistics if we were not partnering with somebody like Community Food Bank. I've said a few times now, what a blessing to have the same leader for 10 years.
Yeah.
It really says a lot
True.
about the organization.
True.
And so
It would
Marissa
not survive without Marissa, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I will scream that. You can say no all you want. I will scream it from the rooftops. I know that there are lots of people who help you do your job, but you are the reason it thrives. You are the constant.
And so receive that.
I do.
Pat yourself on the back.
I do realize this. In many ways.
Amen. I've been waiting for
I'll
my
never
friend to
say
do
that I do any of it by myself. There's
No.
a lot of people that make this this happen and everything. And it's really great to do that.
Let's go back into the grant just a little bit and explain why people might want to apply for it and how you think it benefits our community, other than obviously through feeding the basket and things of that nature.
We feel pretty blessed that we are in the area where the founders of this pantry in Ottawa are able to partner with us. So big deal. that obvious connection, and when I was deciding if we would apply, by having an interview with Marissa, who I knew was at the helm for a decade, really said a lot about that organization.
Yeah.
So I say that part to say that people that think they want to apply for this grant, hopefully it will be available. This is the first year, so it does, it was a little punchy getting going. I had some good conversations, not only with the Community Food Basket, but also with our mentor, Marty Travis from down at the farms, who has been navigating local food for a long time. Also with Steve Erickson of Feeding Illinois, who is the partnering group that is working with DHS to deliver this grant, or administer, they call it, the grant.
Yes.
And it is unknown territory. Not only is it the first time the grant is available, but it is also an underserved community. To find the words would be nearly impossible, even for me, because local food is just not on the radar of federal. This is a state grant.
Right.
But it's a different conversation, and even people within ag don't really understand the nuances of what it means to be specialty crop growing, the effort, the affordability, how much it takes to have the guts to transition your farm and then be able to sustain the transition. We do regenerative farming, and all of that language has been communicated with the Illinois Stewardship Alliance. And so that's the biggest thank you, Alexis, is that all of these people who have been doing the groundwork for the last decade made it fun for us to march in. Us is Ohms Sanctuary. We go by Ohms.
Yeah.
I am the A director, and our big deal is this vitamin program.
Sure.
Our big deal is this vitamin program training socially disadvantaged farmers. And so that was the excitement. We had the guts to apply because we have a lot on the line.
Right. Yeah. Especially in this
And
area, it's necessary.
the goal of the grant is to create a relationship with the local farmers to enter the emergency food system. And there is no language for it yet in LaSalle County, at least. And we hope to create some of that language.
So Haylei is one of your farmers. So tell us a little bit about what made you want to do this and why this is so important to you.
Well, farming, being outdoors, foraging, being able to be self-sustainable are all things that I really enjoy and have been digging more into in the last probably 3 to 4 years. This program is a very divine timing blessing for me and my kiddos. We are expanding and growing insanely. I mean, the things that we're learning and being able to connect each other with, but also with other farmers and other kiddos, and the connections are also very transformational for what we've got going on.
We were talking about you homeschool, right? That's
Yeah.
So how is that playing into this journey for you? Because that's really kind of a neat side piece to this too.
Yeah. So since we started on the farm, that is most of our schooling for right now. Like we are hitting the ground real hard and learning how they're learning crazy things, learning how to operate machinery themselves, even if it's just a riding lawnmower, right?
Yeah.
But weed whackers, they got to learn the weed whacker.
So if they can do it, they're doing better than me.
Yes, my 8-year-old was ecstatic because last year she wasn't, and still isn't for the one at her dad's, wasn't tall enough to be able to reach the clutch and operate it herself. But out on the farm, she is tall enough this year. So she was very, very excited about that. They love being outdoors. So this section of homeschooling is probably one of their favorites, I'd have to say.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You know, my kid got into FFA and we moved to Earlville. Obviously, she'd never done any of that in Melbourne Pope. But when we moved to Earlville, she got into FFA and joined FFA. And, She went to a soil competition.
Oh, cool.
And that was her first competition she ever did. And my child knows nothing about soil. She would have been, I was like, are you sure you don't want to go to like the goat one? We have those. You might know you might understand that better. She was like, no, I'm going to do soil. I was like, okay. All right, sis, let me know how it goes. And
That's awesome. She wanted to learn something new.
Yeah, she was like, I went into a pit. I looked at the dirt and I had to figure out like what the composition was and what it might grow.
Wow,
and,
that's wonderful.
right? Like what a cool thing for her to have taken in and learned. Now, did she panic the entire time? Yes, 100%. But she did a great job. She ended up getting placement in it. Like she did really well. So I was really pleased to see that she got out of her bubble and tried something new. You know, because she doesn't. That's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the discovery is so important. I think one of the neat things about our vitamin program is hands-on.
Yeah.
So we have a really diverse farm, which is the farm that my husband and I started, Grateful Plains, when I was a brand new beginning farmer.
Yep.
And we operate now as a tenant farming where mostly other people are using our plots that are regenerative already.
Yep.
But it's so unique because we're out there on the Grand Ridge.
Yep.
And we have 5 different soil types
Yeah,
in
it's
less
pretty
than
cool.
3 acres.
Yep, we do. We have 3 in Earlville
And
on our 6 acres.
We can
It's
see
wild.
so many trial fields and demonstration, and I think that's what's exciting about the Farm to Food Bank. When we first started talking, especially because Haylei likes a lot of the greens and dandelion greens and chicory and cleavers. Last week we were turning into some cleavers tea, which to my husband is a sticky weed, and meanwhile I'm like, save that. I'm gonna put that in the fridge this week. And it's exciting that on the regenerative soil, things grow that haven't grown there
In years.
This
yeah.
land has been in our farm since 1979, and when I got back from college, I asked my dad, please stop spraying the dandelions.
Yeah.
And so it's been almost 20 years now that there's been no spray on our land at all.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't spray ours either. Obviously,
It's a
we're
big
surrounded. The hardest part is we're surrounded by farm fields who
It is
who
hard.
do spray, you know, so that does make trying to keep your land not covered
Yes.
by that. And we have animals, so I think about that too. How does that affect them when they're doing the spray over?
Correct.
You know, because it's plains around us that do it, you know. And the guy is great. He's super nice. And I will say, the guy who does the plane around us, like, if you're listening, God bless. Because if he sees my animals in a certain part of the pasture, he won't do that part of the field until they've moved to make sure that there's
It's really important.
space. And I'm really, really grateful for the way that he does it. And also when he sees my kid outside, he comes down low. And when he so she can see the plane and like wave at him. So like he's super nice. I really enjoy him. But like that is still that it's a concern that affects your land. Like we really don't get dandelions the same way we did. You
Correct.
know?
And what you describe is, this is the time for cooperation.
Yeah.
So I think when I first started out, it was a lot of us and them. I'm now married to a 5th generation corn and soybeans farmer.
Yeah.
Who for the first time is understanding some of the long-term disaster that will happen from some of those sprays and the dead soil.
And some of the new regenerative seeds that they've created.
Regenerative seeds. And so he's not very loud about it, but he is so excited to learn something different.
Yeah.
He gets to spray because we have this amazing group called Advancing Eco Ag that is giving us minerals for each time of the plant. And when I think about what we can teach, so the long-term impact of this grant, specifically because it's a capacity building grant.
Right.
We were selected from, I don't know how many applications.
I have no idea.
They haven't really said.
They
how
never
many.
really said how many people did apply.
But we know that about 20 people, ranging from student gardens who needed a few $1,000s up to organizations like ours, where we're close to critical mass. We know we'll reach momentum because of the partners that we have. So we asked for $100,000. We were granted the full $100,000.
That's amazing.
And our vision is the resiliency. Our vision is establishing new farmers, giving the infrastructure, the technology, logistics. Capacity building grant is what it's about. This group, Feeding Illinois, and in general, the people that are behind it, because there are other grants for infrastructure that are really talked about right now.
Yeah.
we can't get bigger without it.
Right.
Small farms we just sit and watch these planes and get defeated if we don't have a high tunnel for the
Yeah.
Our high tunnel grant with Equip is what gave me hope. Like, I'm not as afraid of that drift anymore because I can plant my crops that I know will be blooming in that high tunnel.
Right.
And it's under plastic when they come by, and now I can wave at the planes and I almost smile.
I don't know about that. Not me.
I have to smile at the guy. He's so nice to us. I have to smile when he comes by. Like I said, once he did the 2 low flat buys for Sophie, just because he saw her out there and excited, I was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. Like, I don't
It is pretty neat.
It's fine. I can suck it up. And also, like I said, if you pay attention, I think there's a difference between there are times when they're spraying and they I've seen spraying where they aren't paying attention to the land around them, the houses around them, it's not like our house is plot in the middle of farm fields on all sides that aren't ours, right? We have 6 acres, but around us are farm fields that aren't ours, so we are always in the middle of it, right? And I think there's a difference between this guy, the guy who does around our house, and other people, because I've seen a lot of other people not care about dogs in the yard, whatever in the yard, when they're spraying. They don't care.
It's like any industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
It all comes down to who the operator is and the relationship.
Right.
I mean, before planes and helicopters, we had great neighbors who would shut that boom off that was next to our yard.
Right.
It takes relationship. And that was before I was farming. Now I'm on driftwatch.org, which is what I teach our farmers to do so that the bees can be happy. We have so many pollinators right now.
Yeah.
And getting the language out, and for us, Ohms becomes the glue for the groups that are working behind the scenes and for the beginning farmers, for the food banks that wonder how can we get back to 1,000 pounds of food a week. This is the way to grassroots effort, create the communication, let everybody meet people where they are, and do what we can do independently and in collaboration, which feels so good.
Well, and I love what Haylei said about trying to get back to being a little more self-sustaining. When we bought the farm, that was exactly what the thought was we wanted to be a little more self-sustaining, a little less reliant on the world. I mean, my husband is also we joke that when the world goes to shit, Alyssa will show up at our house with Addison.
And it might be sooner than we think. I
mean, my husband, his 2 best friends are both. My husband isn't. His 2 best friends are both veterans, and the first thing all 3 of them, I will never forget it. The first thing all 3 of them did one of them went to look at the house with us before we bought it. He was there. We decided we were going to buy it, and then the other one, the first time they came to our house, the 3 of them were standing in the yard pointing at the high points where they could have sniper nests. And I was like, "What is wrong with you 3? What is your brain?" And he's like, "If things go down and we have to protect this place, and this is where we're all going to be, we have to make sure that we know where the safe spots."
It's a genuine perspective.
What is your brain? My brain was like, look, animals.
It takes all kinds. We work with farmer veterans. I have worked discreetly a long time on what Ohms is about. And I especially work with the caregivers, right, of combat vets, because as wives and children and families, we don't know how always to treat people when they come back. And farming gives these veterans an opportunity to have no pressure, show up to work, leave if they need to. It's really so invigorating, and something that Haylei and I have been learning just in these first few weeks working with Marissa is that much of this food waste, when we are established as a legal micro food hub, we'll be able to process this food and send it back to you ready to eat again.
Exactly. Which is something I'm so excited about as well, because I mean, especially in what I do, I hate wasting food because I mean, I see people every day who needs the food and things that can be going, and we do our best. There's not a whole lot of food waste that we have.
You guys do a great job.
We do our best, but There's always some that slips through.
I do remember the vegan like jerky that we got the one time. Nobody would take it.
And then people tried it, and then people
Nobody
wanted
would
it.
take it. So Marissa took it to the board meeting, and she was like, "Listen, this is what it is. I'm telling you, and only you." And then she dumped it in a bowl. It was like, "Look, jerky," and people ate it the whole meeting. And she was like, "That was a vegan jerky." That
We
you
have
also
the same situation with
Yeah.
vegetables,
Like,
don't
it really
we?
was a difference.
And it was so good. It was actually really good.
It was really good. It was just that people saw it and were like,
And
I'm
like,
not
oh,
eating
vegan,
that.
I'm not
Like,
eating that.
Right.
And then it's like,
That's 100% what it was.
and it's like, okay, take it
I
out
was.
of the
I mean,
packaging.
I'm not gonna lie. I was also like, ew, no, thank you.
Oh yeah,
That's a hard. I'm a
I was
give me a
just like-
steak kind of girl.
I'm
so
like I'm like pea protein jerky. I don't know about that, but then I tried it and
It
I'm
was
like,
actually
it was
really
really
good.
And
It was
I
actually good.
like I started giving it to the same thing with the volunteers. Be like, hey, when you're shopping with people, let them know that like you've tried this. It's good.
Yeah.
And like I had,
'Cause it does make a
I had
difference.
everybody try it. We do have some like vegan, vegetarian volunteers and things like that. They liked it all the way to our big like meat eater, like beef jerky guys and things like that. And they were all like, "This is pretty good."
Yeah, true.
Good.
True. I remember. I think it was Brian. Brian. It was like, that was actually really good.
That was actually really good. Where do I get more of
I was like, if
this?
he said that was good, then it's fine. So
Yeah.
I know we can eat it now.
So
My
like,
husband is a tomato snob. He likes red tomatoes. The
I
first
am
thing he
too.
does is go through the plants and say, which one of these are red tomatoes? Because the first year he actually hired me. That's how I fell in love.
That's my mom and dad too.
Yeah. And so I was growing 8 acres of vegetables, and very few of the tomatoes were red because I like the heirloom flavor. It's just so
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah.
They make better sauce. They make better taste automatically. So first thing when we moved to the farm is red, big, red.
Yes. Yes. The big boys.
But now that
The
he's
real
tried some of the
beefsteaks.
heirlooms, he understands the flavor is just so much richer and more tomatoey and really enjoys that part. But what you described is true, even at the farmers markets. We have a hard time here in LaSalle County because the rules are just changing so fast and we don't have a lot of capacity for what those rules are at times. And a lot of people misunderstand the cottage laws and how to get legal
1000%
and
they
all
do.
of the
Yeah.
silliness. So I remember probably 15 years ago, I was cutting tomatoes at the farmer's market, and they did not want me to give taste because that would be food handling. And these are some of the challenges that we face because as farmers and as small farmers, that would have defeated me in a different situation. I
Right.
was fortunate to be hired by somebody, and I could still figure out a different thing to do with the tomatoes. But supporting specialty crop farms is more
Yeah.
than just buying broccoli. It is about understanding that it is a year-long endeavor.
Yeah.
And when I'm asking for $4 for my tomato, it is because that is what it cost me to produce it. And my food is going to taste better than yours.
Yeah.
And it's putting my kids into the programs, or in our case, keeping our farm programs going. It
Well, and
feels
helping
good to
feed
stay
the community
local.
too, because that's a huge part of that too.
Big deal about the community. The long-term impact of having local food create a presence in LaSalle County is about developing farmers.
Yeah.
We work with socially disadvantaged farmers, but I also feel like a lot of the old-time farmers who can't handle their huge farms anymore would really get excited about being able to make a little money by supplying local food if there was a chain
A lot of them do
of
too.
command.
A
Yeah.
lot of them
Yeah.
do. That's what a lot of what was coming in the food basket was.
yeah, it was.
Were older farmers who had been doing this for a long time who said, I have too much, and I need to be able to do something good with this. I need to be able to, I see the need. Even if they did it, like, my favorite was I watched one pull up and he brought in the crops and they said, don't tell anybody it was me, and left. And I'll never forget. Like, he said, don't tell anybody it was me. And because it wasn't like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to know I had this much left. It was, I don't need any
want
recognition.
to
I don't
stay
want any credit.
anonymous.
I just want to know that this went somewhere
Like your
that's gonna
father.
feed people. Yeah. And that was really cool to watch.
And I think that that's a big deal for a lot of people right now because you just don't even it's difficult to understand the intentions a lot of time.
Right.
And it's so sensitive about, am I doing it right? Are we doing it legally?
Yeah.
How can we have this happen?
Yeah, correct.
So we applied for this grant to have some of that education so that we can be following these guidelines We're piloting a program that these farmers can understand what the communication is. Of course, we're making great relationships.
Right.
We are able to be acknowledged because we represent people that don't want to be acknowledged, especially when we're working with cases of either veterans who've coming back from combat, and a lot of times I'm working with domestic abuse, or just people that are having huge career shift and they don't want to be known. I feel blessed because these 3 farmers are interested in establishing a farm and express a long-term commitment to farming vocation. And we don't know what it looks like, though. The beauty of what Ohms is doing as a micro food hub is we can plug people in who are chefs. We can plug people in who are just kind of, hey, I'm in FFA. I kind of like it. What else is there?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't like the farming. They don't want to get dirty, and they want to do the books. Maybe they want to understand how different that is for a farm to understand it.
I think that's the most important part of like FFA, and I think I wish we talked about, Alyssa and I just talked about this yesterday. I wish I'd done FFA in high school. My whole family does FFA because my whole family's from February, right? So like I'm the only one who never did. Everybody else did. My little cousin was a national champion twice for eggs for egg sales in FFA. She was the USA champion for ag sales 2 years in a row, and went to Ireland and Italy, I think.
Wow,
to go compete. Yeah, she's a monster. She's the coolest. Anyway, I could brag about her for 12 years. Shout out to my little Grace.
We heard about her. They won the cheese recently. There was one of the farms in Fairbury went to Ireland because they have award-winning cheese.
No, that's a different farm, but I do know who that is. That's a different farm.
That was awesome.
Grace is friends with that girl because we talked about it. Friends with the family that like had that. No, that was not Grace. Grace is in college. She's 2 years into college now. She just graduated with her associates and is going to a 4-year university, which she has not announced yet, but which I've yelled at her about. And if you're listening, you better still be going where we said we were going, regardless of what anybody else thinks, because you deserve that, and I love you, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But she's like incredible. She's gotten accepted into one of the best ag programs in America, and
I'm just excited people are still seeking it.
Well, and I think that like FFA brings a different part to the table. Yes, it brings something totally different to the table. Like Sophie she did not grow up in a farm environment. I did not grow up in a farm environment. Well, I did, but I didn't, right? Like I grew up in 60 acres of woods.
Yeah, on the outskirts.
I grew up in 60 acres of woods. We foraged for mushrooms. We'd walk the woods every day. Like my dad and I did all that. He planted flowers. We had, blooms everywhere you can think of up there, as well as every Italian marble you can think of in the entire world, all those gazing balls. But eye roll, fountains, eye roll. Just couldn't stop himself. Just couldn't help it. Every time we turned around, there was a new gazing ball in the yard. But I was like, what?
I don't know anything about that.
I was like, why is there 12 of these? What are you doing?
Cannot relate.
You also do that? Oh my God. My mom at one point was like, if you buy one more gazing ball, I'm going to break it. I swear to God, I'm going to roll it down the driveway. So he stopped buying them because she was like, quit. You're littering my yard with your nonsense. But I grew up in that environment and liked it, but my whole family had farms, right? In Fairbury, so I would go down there and it was a different life, right? Like we go to the actual farm, go get sweet corn, go to May at Riva's. She'd be cooking all the things that they had grown. And it was a different, I always liked it. I always enjoyed that. So like when I finally got my own farm, because that's what Jay and I wanted to do, was be a little more self-sustaining. And, I tried bread, that was terrible. Other than that, things have been fine. We've had animals, and now we're really self-sustaining because for the first time ever, we have chickens. We figured out how to lay their own babies, and I'm not going to Farm and Fleet to buy,
chicks.
20 chicks this year.
That you don't know where they came from.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you what, though. Those chicks, our little cousin won state with one of those chicks. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Jeremiah's little brother went to state for his chicken. He showed his chicken. He got her at Farm and Fleet. Mm-hmm. Pro tip, Farm and Fleet. Took this black Australorp to state. One state with her. He's standing in a line. Here's all these other kids in their cute little boots and their little belts and their little button-down shirts. And Spencer's in a Nike shirt and Nike shoes. And he's standing there with his black chicken, and they're going down the line. Jeremiah and I are laughing as they're going down the line, and they're like, where'd you get this from? Oh, I got it from this hatchery. I specifically picked this chick because I felt that this chick had blah, blah, blah. They get to Spencer, they're like, where'd you get your chick? He's like, Apartment Fleet. She was $2.28.
And that's the honesty for
I
you.
was like, oh no.
Okay.
That is so great.
But I laugh about it, because all of our chicks have come from Farm Fleet. So I laugh all the time. I'm like, are you the next state chicken? Is it you? You're the next state winner?
And that is exactly the evidence that when you put it in the hands of somebody with passion, whether it's food, seeds, husbandry, whatever name we give it, the farming vocation and food that is obviously related to that is in the hands of the passion.
Yeah.
That matters.
Yeah. She was
What
the
we do with
happiest
it would
chicken
be
you've
so
ever
amazing.
met in your life. She lived her best life. The whole time. She lived at my house for the last 3 years of her life. After he went to college, she lived at my house for the last 3 years of her life. She ran the roost. She was a very sweet girl. Great chicken. No wonder he won with her, because you could just pick that thing. You could just carry. You could carry her like this. She'd just stand there. She did not care. She was a good girl. You could do anything to her. She did not care. But it really does. It makes a difference when you love what you're doing and you're getting to see and I think more importantly, you're getting to see the fruits of your effort. I think sometimes we get lost in, I'm doing all these things and I don't see where I'm
People do get lost.
progressing.
And that's the big deal for Ohms too, is to be the bridge.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I wish I had done this. Vitamin is about exploring a farming vocation, so people can get into it, see the grit, understand the
it's grit, for
communication,
sure.
understand the everyday, understand the 5 a.m.s, understand that, I thought I'd work till 1 o'clock today, but at 11 we're like, nah, heat's up, time's out. Heat's out, time's up.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of this grant, is it gives us a foundation. We can build that foundation,
Right.
and not waste people time or money, because they can come through and get a really deep hands-on experience and still stay so local and so concentrated.
Right.
And I am really excited to see where we go.
I'm excited that there's people that are going to be able to learn to provide for themselves when we can't afford to buy groceries. At a time when groceries are so expensive and gas is so expensive. I filled my car yesterday and it cost me $98, and I was like, that is wild.
And
That's
not only
wild.
that, but
Yeah.
when people realize, and more people are realizing it sooner, what they're eating is not really filling them up.
Right.
And it's really causing them more hurt. And when they start eating delicious food that is regeneratively grown, that has more nutrient density than most food on the market, you really don't want to eat anything else.
Yeah. Yep.
And put it in the freezer and wait till next spring.
I agree. Well, thank you all for coming. I'm excited we got to do this. And go check
Thank
out
you
their
for
grant.
having us.
Go check out their Facebook page. You want to give the Facebook page and all the information?
We have a Facebook page under Ohms Sanctuary, and if you want to hear more about the grant, visit feedingillinois.org. And to read about our vitamin program and where we will trace our steps is livegrowgiveohms.org.
Also, if you have any more questions about the food basket,
You can always find us on Facebook at Community Food Basket of Ottawa. We also have our website, ottawafoodbasket.org. All our information is there. Or you can always just come down and visit us during our distribution hours or any other time. I love to talk about what we do and be happy to talk to anybody about that.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
you.